Admittedly, I was looking at the ring and shoot. He promised Drew McIntyre, Mr. Money in the Bank, is marching down to the ring with the briefcase and the contract inside for a World Championship opportunity. As much as I've been a critic of this man, I have to admit, he did what he said he was going to do. And now, it looks like he's going to cash in. Indeed he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, Drew McIntyre is cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. Therefore, this is now a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship.
What the hell? Holy cow! Holy shit! CM Punk is here! Punk is here! Punk is here! CM Punk! Punk is beating the hell! Beating the hell out of McIntyre! Punk's returning the favor! This is a receipt from Chicago! Punk with a steel chair is destroying McIntyre! And there's no disqualifications in a triple threat match! CM Punk! I don't even know where the hell Punk came from! Punk is laid waste to McIntyre! Folks, we still have a world championship going on! It's a triple threat! CM Punk has destroyed McIntyre! Look at that chair.
What is Punk doing with the World Heavyweight Championship?
Well, you can't stop the guy. There's no disqualifications. Punk with the title to the face of McIntyre.
Rollins sees,
And Corey, I mentioned it, the collateral damage by Seth Rollins. We saw Rollins' reaction to the return of Punk at Survivor Series, and Corey, who longtime friends with Seth Rollins, making sure that Seth doesn't do anything out of control here tonight. But again, Punk cost Rollins the championship tonight too. Punk made sure now that Rollins doesn't get another shot at the title as long as Priest is champion. CM Punk has affected the entire future of WWE here tonight. And with the typical CM Punk, who me, has turned the WWE upside down.
You are listening to your belated, better late than never, Money in the Bank review here for free on the Dirty Sheets podcast. So this isn't just for subscribers and patrons. This is a free show. I'm doing it with my son, Austin.
Yo.
And we are doing it together because we both agreed as soon as this show was in the books that it was a better pay-per-view than the ones we've had recently. The Leon one, I don't think it would have been received the same way had it not been for the crowd. And I don't think that it was a massively relevant show with major developments that took the WWE forward on the night. But this show certainly had major developments. Tiffany Stratton looking like a future women's champion when she cashes in. Drew McIntyre winning Money in the Bank and wasting it on the same night. We'll give our thoughts about that. But that just shows the importance of the CM Punk Drew McIntyre match at SummerSlam. They are putting everything into it, which includes sacrificing the Money in the Bank briefcase just after a few hours. So the men's division won't have that intrigue of having that cash-in threat throughout the entire year. Austin, what do you think about that? Would you rather have a Money in the Bank in circulation, or do you feel that going all in on CM Punk and Drew McIntyre is the right thing to do?
I think what they did was perfect because anyone else that would have won the Money in the Bank, what are they actually going to do with it? Because they don't fit the storyline of the World Championship right now. Jey Uso is obviously going back with the Bloodline. Who else is there? LA Knight, he's going for Logan Paul.
Hold on,
Who else is going to fit?
So with Jey Uso, you're writing the story for them and saying that he's going to be feuding with the Solos Bloodline. He's going to be on Roman Reigns' side.
Yeah. And either way, he's not going to fit the dynamic of the World Heavyweight Championship right now.
But I mean, anybody holding that belt, we've seen with Priest. Priest didn't fit in anywhere last year until the night of WrestleMania. And even then, you would argue that came out of the blue, especially given the way they booked Priest up until that point. So, I mean, he was in a tag match on night one and he's a champion on night two. So it can just go on to anybody and anybody can hold it. Even if it's an Andrade, they can hold that briefcase and just make a small threat to cash it in. But they can do that at the appropriate time once storylines have concluded. But we don't have that now. We don't have anyone holding on to it. Not even an LA Knight who can come through his feud with Logan Paul. Not a Jey Uso who can go through the whole Bloodline thing and then come back round to still having that briefcase at WrestleMania time. We don't have any of that. It's done.
I think that's right. I don't think there was any other way to do it. But, if people have different opinions, but that's mine.
So, what do you think then about everything being centered around this CM Punk Drew McIntyre feud? And also, it seems like Priest's title run has kind of centered around that as well, because Priest got that first win over Jey Uso where Judgment Day helped him. And now it's been back-to-back pay-per-view wins where he's been helped by CM Punk. So I think one thing it definitely does is Scotland felt pointless anyway when we watched it. We knew it was a bad show. Not necessarily a pointless show because it did have a huge development, but they've doubled down on that development where, yes, Drew lost in Scotland, but now he's lost Money in the Bank, which is normally a guaranteed world title win, at least 80% of the time with the men. So it's kind of like we've really took a shit on the Scottish pay-per-view now, because whereas they thought that they saw a big dramatic development, a repeat development occurred the next month with even higher stakes. So it's kind of like that show didn't really need to exist. It's kind of been erased almost.
Yeah, I completely agree. Scotland did not have much meaning. I mean, they were both pretty relevant, but I believe they did put too much on it. So they could have had, I don't know, Drew run for a month and then someone else win. There was a lot of ways you could have done it. This was a way. I wouldn't say it was the right way, but it wasn't too bad.
Could have had Drew win it, and then during this rematch with Priest, you could have had Punk cost him the belt. You could have had Drew cashed in on again with somebody, giving Gunther a more viable opponent. I still feel the Priest Gunther match is odd, but then when you watch this week's Raw, they've definitely made, I would say, Damian Priest a good guy. So it does make a little bit more sense where they're now trying to play it as Gunther's this spoiled rich kid who didn't ever want to be a wrestler and was just good at it, and the WWE begged him to come. So he's this entitled guy, whereas Priest is this rags to riches story, had to scrap from the bottom and homelessness and had all these obstacles to overcome. That's the story they're telling, and they did well to do that in one promo, but I still think it's a very difficult sell with this match, and a different good guy going in would have been easier. I still ultimately think that McIntyre and Punk needed the title, but now it looks like it will be the most important match at SummerSlam without the belt. Do you see any way that Seth Rollins is tied into this match? Because he seems tied in with both of them. Would you be shocked to see him as a referee? Or do you think, given Rollins' SummerSlam history, if we go back to some of the matches he had, a classic with John Cena, a classic with Brock Lesnar, a classic with Finn Balor, even a classic with Dominic Mysterio during COVID, obviously multiple other top-tier matches from Seth Rollins. Do you feel that having him as a referee kind of wastes Rollins at SummerSlam, or do you think it fits?
I was going to say the exact same thing. I thought he was going to be a referee. I don't think it's wasting him because he could do some entertaining things while as the referee. But I do think he's going to get a match. But against who? I don't think he's going to get a match. But he should get a match. It shouldn't be wasted on a special guest referee because he is, in my opinion, one of the best wrestlers of the decade.
Well, at SummerSlam in particular, you would argue that he's Mr. SummerSlam. If there was, when Shawn Michaels called himself Mr. WrestleMania, it wasn't down to wins and losses because we know The Undertaker was riding the streak, but Shawn Michaels was the one who was always having the best matches, and Rollins is on a crazy run of top matches at SummerSlam. I'm trying to remember. I normally can remember things straight away. Who was his opponent at last year's SummerSlam? It was obviously a title defense in 2023. Do you remember who it was?
No, I don't really.
Maybe that wasn't a good match then.
Did he have the title then?
Yeah,
he had the title then.
Because he won it in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
I think it was maybe just working with Finn Balor, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was Balor.
It was Balor at SummerSlam.
Yeah, it was Balor. Because he was like, you took the title away from me. Yabba, yabba, yabba. Yeah, that was it.
I'm sure it was a good match with him and Finn Balor. You automatically would think it was. But when I was talking about his run of matches, I was talking about the match where he injured Balor back in 2016, actually.
I know.
And I think even when we went to SummerSlam 2017, even when they put Rollins in a tag team with Dean Ambrose and they won the tag belts from Sheamus and Cesaro, they still had one of the best matches of the night then.
Oh, yeah, that match was really good. No taking away from that match. That was one of the best tag matches I've ever seen. And maybe the best one I've ever seen, there was that Uso, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens one.
What, at WrestleMania?
39, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but we also saw a good tag match at SummerSlam 2017 that year, but it was on the preview show, I think, with the Usos and the New Day. Don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Don't know if you remember that one. Yeah. So let's circle back round to the Money in the Bank show. I think the best match of the night was probably the women's match. Now, I don't know if it was actually better than the men's match, but sometimes when you go in with a high expectation, which is what we have for all the men's Money in the Bank matches, and the women's one, when it's kind of on par with the men's match or maybe just a little bit below, I think we elevate it in our heads because we elevate it because of the element of surprise. Would you say that's fair? Or would you just think it was a better match? Like, I think the women's Royal Rumble was better. It was actually better.
Yeah,
it wasn't a case of us elevating it and going, oh, wow, that was good. That was really good for women, like you do. I believe genuinely there has been some stuff over the years. There was a match between Ronda and Charlotte, not the WrestleMania one at 38, but the next pay-per-view at Backlash that was genuinely incredible. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte was genuinely incredible. I thought this year's Royal Rumble was better than the men's, and I thought on that point that this Money in the Bank match was genuinely better.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, but some people do elevate the women's thing, so I agree with that. But both matches were pretty good. There was no surprise, shocking.
When you say some people, do you mean Pacific wrestlers, or do you mean Pacific people are looking to elevate women?
I mean specific people.
Yeah, so they try to elevate women's higher than they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think there's some of that. I remember a few years ago, Becky was having matches with Bianca Belair, and they were saying that they stole the show at WrestleMania, where they really didn't. They had quite
average matches.
Yeah, it was just an above average match that was elevated by social media opinion and by the opinion of journalists who want to push the female agenda too hard. But I don't think that's what we're doing here. I genuinely felt like there was some seriously good spots in this match, and we got the right winner, although the crowd were more behind Chelsea Green. Did you have any doubts that Tiffany was going to get it, or did you have any belief, shall I say, that Chelsea was going to get it, or anyone else?
I did say on the prediction show I thought Chelsea Green would win it, but I thought either way it could have gone 50-50. I liked the ending where she threw her off. I like how they teamed up, similar personalities. But yeah, I think they picked the right winner. Good storyline with Nia Jackson stuff. But Chelsea Green would have been quite funny.
Yeah, Chelsea Green would have been funny, and also possibly a genuine contender to fail with a cash-in potentially as well. This was another pay-per-view where we just had the 5 matches. We talked about the title match. We've talked about the 2 Money in the Bank matches. And you rightly predicted that Braun Breaker would not win the championship on this show. Sami Zayn was originally supposed to retain the title as it was supposed to be a four-way. Ludwig Kaiser was genuinely injured. I believe that they had just brought Braun Breaker's title win forward, but instead they gave him a singles loss, which was surprising to me. This wasn't a DQ or anything like that. This was Braun Breaker being pinned clean. Do you think that damages him, or is history erased when he wins the Intercontinental title? Or do you actually think that he won't win the title? Because we've been sitting here going, oh, Sami loses soon and Priest loses soon. But what if they don't? What if Priest wins again at SummerSlam and Sami wins again at SummerSlam, and these guys are going to have longer runs than we think?
I actually do think Priest is going to win at SummerSlam and maybe lose it at Rumble or a later pay-per-view.
Not in Berlin.
Huh?
What about Berlin?
I don't know, maybe, but I don't think Priest is going to lose this match at SummerSlam. But Sami Zayn, I do believe he will, because they're obviously setting up for a triple threat, fatal four-way. They're adding Dragunov to the fray. But I think Breaker's definitely going to win it, and Sami Zayn won't get pinned.
Well, one thing I do think is worth noting is that there wasn't really a bad match on this show. I think you could criticise the world title match because there was that odd moment where he didn't kick out, and that was quite strange where he didn't kick out. And obviously a lot of people pointed it out. I don't know what happened there. Did you notice that, or did you see that afterwards on social media, or did you notice it on the night?
I was like a little bit asleep at that time, so I didn't see that. But I saw it on the night on social media, and I was just really shocked. I think he's like maybe knocked out or something like that. But
I don't know if the reasons actually come out. I don't know if you go on the internet more than me now. Did you find any reason behind
Triple
it?
Threat, Triple H did something on it.
Right.
And he was saying that's all people are going to talk about. But he didn't mention, like, what happened. He was just saying that people shouldn't just talk about that, and they should talk about how good Damian Priest actually was. But another mistake on that show was that Tonga low blow as well.
Yeah, in the main event. Were you surprised to see that main event when we had 2 Money in the Bank matches?
No, I wasn't. I thought that was definitely going to be the main event. But I thought maybe Jimmy Uso or something would come back.
So we were right in terms of, well, I mean, I knew a while ago they were heading towards Cody and Solo, but we were right in saying that Solo would get this pin over Cody Rhodes to set up SummerSlam. I think they had a chance here to change plans and maybe pivot towards Jacob Fatu, because Jacob Fatu has had more of a positive response than many people expected, obviously because he does some crazy moves. And I almost feel like if people saw that change, because we all kind of knew it was going to be Solo, but if we saw that change that it was going to be, wow, they've gone with Jacob Fatu's pinned Cody Rhodes, I think people would have genuinely believed there could have been a title change at SummerSlam. I don't think we believe that now. Do you think Jacob Fatu's a match for the future, or do you think that these guys swiftly move on to Roman Reigns afterwards?
I think Jacob Fatu could be a match for the future, but I believe they're just going to move on to Reigns straight after this. Maybe a match at Bad Blood, a triple match going forward, and then maybe they'll turn their focus back to Cody. But it's going to be Rock versus Cody at Mania, I'm pretty sure, or Rock Roman.
Well, I think the chances of your Bloodline versus Bloodline match at Survivor Series have increased with the announcement that it's going to be in California and Los Angeles, and I can't see them bringing a lackluster pay-per-view to that market. So the chances of Roman Reigns participating in that pay-per-view are higher, and subsequently the Bloodline versus Bloodline option has also increased via that, because I do believe that's going to be a top-level pay-per-view. So overall, best pay-per-view since Mania, but what would you grade it out of 10?
I would grade it an 8. Just because of some mistakes, I would grade it a 9. But just because of a few mistakes, I would probably grade it an 8.
So not a 9 because of the mistakes, but down to an 8.
Yeah.
But still the best thing we've seen since Mania?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I would definitely say so, especially when you're looking at relevance and in terms of the speed that it went to, because some of these matches that don't have the gimmick matches in them, they do feel like we're just getting match after match after match, and the ladder matches definitely broke things up, and there was definite storyline development here as we head towards SummerSlam, which seems to be the big show that everything's been gearing towards, whilst we've been in some sort of small little holding pattern since WrestleMania. The action has been good. We're often in a holding pattern after WrestleMania season, but I do believe the action has been a little bit better than usual. I've enjoyed the development of the bloodline. I've enjoyed Liv Morgan with Dominic Mysterio, and of course we saw Rhea Ripley come back this week on Raw. Finish up any super early SummerSlam predictions, McIntyre, Punk, Ripley, Morgan, like for the sort of the more 50-50 matches, not Cody solo, because I think we know what's going to happen there.
I think Liv's going to win with Dominic betraying Rhea. I think Punk will win.
What about Nia Jax or Bayley?
Nia Jax, and then Stratton cashes in.
On the night?
Yeah.
On
the night.
On Nia Jax?
Yeah. And then I think Damian Priest wins.
Okay, I think you don't need to do all the predictions. I just wanted a couple, yeah. Yeah, so we are moving towards SummerSlam. And as I've mentioned multiple times, we are now in a groove where we are going to be dropping shows at the right time. So Wrestling Informer will be out on Saturdays. I'll be going on YouTube on Tuesdays. Although I will be doing that this Tuesday, and then I'll be in a different time zone. So the time may change for that. It may be more suitable for Americans, because I will be trying to do that from America, as I am going away for 3 or 4 weeks to the US from the 29th. So I will be away, but I will be doing the show still from there. So that does conclude your Money in the Bank review. One of the better pay-per-views this year, as I said. I think the best pay-per-view since WrestleMania. I would put it second behind WrestleMania. I think Austin agrees. We'll be back to preview SummerSlam, and then of course if you want the betting preview, that will be exclusive to the Fight Show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network.